Hello, and welcome back everyone. You're listening to the Knowledge Vault channel. Today, we continue our true crime series with a horrifying case from China. Right in the heart of a city crowded with people day and night. 3 human bodies were hidden beneath a sewer drain for 7 entire years, only to be discovered after a severe flood hit the area. So what exactly happened here? And how did the killer manage to hide the annual rainy season beneath a manhole cover while people constantly walked overhead, without anyone noticing because of the heavy rainfall? Drainage systems became a major concern for the city. At the time, a sewer line in an old residential neighborhood in Chawa Alley, Dayang City, Sichuan Province, was found to be completely clogged. Wastewater overflowed and flooded the entrance to the neighborhood, as if something was blocking the drain from below. Not only could the sewage not drain properly, but a terrible stench also rose from the sewer, leaving the residents furious. Next to the residential area stood a very popular tea house, visited by countless customers every day. The shop stayed open late into the night, and lively birthday parties were often held there. The residents believed the blockage must have been caused by the owner, dumping used tea leaves into the drainage pipe every day. People from the neighborhood gathered outside the tea house to confront the owner and demand a solution. The owner himself wasn't sure if it was really his fault, but since he had indeed been dumping tea waste into the drain, he decided to avoid trouble that might hurt his business by paying out of pocket to hire 2 plumbers to clear the blockage. After arriving, the plumbers got straight to work. They carefully began the job. But what they never expected was that the moment the manhole cover was opened, they were staring at a human leg bone. The horrifying sight shocked everyone present. People were terrified, and the police were immediately called to the scene. Police officers arrived very quickly. The first thing they did was climb down into the sewer to investigate. After recovering the remains, they managed to piece together an almost complete skeleton. However, it had decomposed severely, with little more than bones remaining. It appeared the victim had been dead for a very long time. Police also found some clothing beside the body. Given the condition of the scene, investigators strongly suspected this was a murder case. Someone had killed the victim and hidden the body underground afterward. There was no way someone would pry open a sewer cover themselves, only to crawl inside such a horrific place to commit suicide. Soon after, forensic examiners arrived at the scene. The autopsy concluded that the victim's remains showed no obvious signs of external injury. Based on the examination, the skeleton belonged to a woman who had been dead for more than 2 years, because the body had been submerged in filthy water under harsh conditions. Forensic experts could not determine exactly how many years had passed since the murder. They could only confirm that it had been over 2 years. Based on bone age analysis, the victim was around 18 years old when she died, but investigators had no way of identifying her. The murder had happened too long ago, so no blood traces or fingerprints remained at the scene. There were no identification documents either, and none of the missing person reports from that period matched the victim. The case quickly became a mystery. But there was one strange detail. This drainage pipe set directly on the only entrance to the entire neighborhood. The area was always crowded with pedestrians, with people and vehicles passing through almost non-stop, day and night. How did the killer murder someone and dump the body here without anyone noticing? No one had seen anything suspicious all this time. If a body was hidden here, surely someone would have seen it. To search for more clues, police brought in pumps to drain all the sewage from the sewer. After that, officers climbed down to see if any useful evidence remained. During the search, they found a very important clue. The sewer was right beside the security guard room, and there was another manhole inside the room itself. The two manholes were only a few steps apart. Since the sewer connected to a septic tank, the smell was terrible. To block the odor, 2 partitions had been installed around the manhole inside the guardroom. There was a large gap underneath. Police believed this was a more likely route for dumping bodies than the manhole in the middle of the street, where crowds passed constantly. So investigators checked the history of everyone who had used the guardroom. Residents said there used to be security guards there, but later, the neighborhood could no longer afford to pay them. It was a very poor residential area. Because the pay was low, guards changed frequently. Most people didn't stay long. As for the former guards, too much time had passed for residents to remember clearly. When police searched the guardroom, they discovered it had been abandoned for a long time. Old junk was piled inside. covered in dust. Then investigators noticed cement sealed around the manhole cover. This immediately seemed suspicious to both police and residents, because sealing a manhole shut with cement made no sense at all. As if someone wanted it closed forever. It seemed to be hiding a secret. Police broke the cement and opened the manhole cover. Instantly, a horrible stench rushed out. Inside, they found 2 human skeletons curled up tightly. The sight shocked everyone. As many of you know, about 26 hours after death, the body becomes stiff. It would be difficult to curl up naturally like that afterward. So police believed the guard room was likely the original murder scene. The 2 newly found victims were later identified as being 16 and 38 years old when they died. So one victim was 18, one was 16, and one was 38. The 3 victims shared no similarity in age. So why did they all die here? Did they have some hidden connection? That led to this tragedy? Police could only confirm that all 3 had been dead for more than 2 years. With no clues about their identities. The case soon hit a dead end. Police then questioned residents living in the neighborhood, but none of them knew that 3 bodies had been hidden beneath the sewer outside their homes. The thought horrified everyone. Based on the estimated timeline, police asked residents whether they had noticed anything unusual. But everyone said nothing strange had happened. To solve the case, first, they needed to identify the 3 victims. Police released notices across the city and offered rewards for useful information. Soon after, a man contacted police and said his wife's name was Fan, and they had lost contact 5 years earlier. On June 23, 2006, he traveled from his hometown to Dayang to meet his wife, as they had planned a few days before. At the time, Si Fang was working and renting a room there. When he arrived in Dayang, he called her many times. But her phone could not be reached. He then went to her apartment and waited for her there. But even after 3 days, she never came back. He didn't know what he had done wrong. Unable to contact her, he eventually returned home. Later, he came back to Dayang many times, searching for his wife, but found nothing. After some time, he gave up. He believed his wife had left him for another man to escape poverty. Because of that, he never thought about reporting her missing. After hearing his story, police asked for more personal details about Si Fang. Based on the timeline of her disappearance, they believed she might be connected to the case. Police later visited Si Fang's parents to collect DNA samples. The test results confirmed that the female victim in her 30s was indeed Si Fang. During the investigation, police found records of people who had once lived in the guardroom, including construction workers, a nearby internet cafe manager, and the neighborhood security guards. The construction workers were checked first. Most of them lived in groups, making it difficult for a killer to act unnoticed, especially murdering 3 people without being exposed. As for the internet cafe manager, he had stayed in the guardroom for a while because it was close to work, but he had no criminal history and showed nothing suspicious during questioning. Just as the investigation hit another dead end, an elderly woman from the neighborhood came to the police station with information. According to her, years earlier, an old man surnamed Lai had worked there as a guard. But he was not a good person. People said he had once committed rape and gone to prison. He also had a violent temper and often argued with local residents. He always lived alone, eating and sleeping in the guardroom by himself. Then one day, the old woman suddenly saw a very young girl inside the guardroom. She asked Mr. Lai about the girl. And he claimed she was his granddaughter. He said she had just graduated and come there for work, since she had nowhere to stay. She was temporarily living with him in the guardroom. At the time, the old woman didn't ask further questions. But she never believed the girl was really his granddaughter. The two of them didn't look related at all. And judging from the girl's appearance, clothes, and behavior, she didn't seem well raised. At the time, the old woman suspected their relationship was improper, but she said nothing more. Sometime later, the young girl suddenly disappeared. The old guard claimed she had found a job and moved out to rent her own place. But only a few months later, another young girl appeared. She looked even younger than the first one. Again, the old guard claimed this girl was also his granddaughter. After hearing the old woman's story about Mr. Lai, police investigated his background and discovered his name was Lai Xingfa, 61 years old. It was true that he had once served prison time for rape. Other residents also reported seeing several women entering and leaving the guardroom, usually at night, and suspected they were prostitutes. At that point, the investigation focused on the old security guard. He had been hired as a guard in 2003 and lived alone inside the guardroom. Several young women had also stayed there with him, around the same ages as the victims, whose bodies were found in the sewer. Another important detail emerged. In 2008, Lai Xingfa suddenly disappeared, along with more than 3,000 yuans that he had collected from residents for utilities. This only deepened police suspicion toward him. Investigators immediately began tracking him down. But Lai Xingfa had left the area nearly 3 years earlier, and nobody knew where he was living. Because of all this, police officially identified Lai Xingfa as the prime suspect in the murders. They then launched a full search for him. Not long after, police discovered that Lai Xingfa was renting a room near the Dayang bus station, surviving on odd jobs. He had never even left the area during those years. Police arrested him immediately and brought him in for questioning. Shockingly, he quickly confessed. To all 3 murders. Lai Xingfa also admitted that he had intimate relationships with all 3 victims. Besides Si Fang, the 38-year-old victim already identified, police used his confession to identify the remaining 2 victims. One was Hang Li, 18, from Chongqing. According to Lai Xingfa, he met Hang Li in 2004. Among the 3 victims, 18-year-old Hang Li was the first killed. She worked as a waitress near the neighborhood. One day, Hang Li cut her hand by accident. She went to Lai's guardroom and asked for some liquor to clean the wound. Lai gave her some alcohol and thought nothing more of it. But a few days later, Hang Li came back to see him again. This time, she asked to borrow 50 yuans. According to Lai, during their conversation, Hang Li hinted that if he lent her money, she would agree to his conditions. Lai Xingfa had not been with a woman for years. Since leaving prison, seeing the young Hang Li, he began having bad intentions. He asked her to stay with him at night. Surprisingly, Hang Li agreed. Lai immediately gave her the 50 yuans. But he worried she might not come back. So he warned her that if she did not return that night, he would go to the restaurant to find her himself. That night, Hang Li really came back. She also had nowhere else to stay. So they began living together. Hang Li stayed in the guardroom with Lai for several months. During that time, she often borrowed money from him. Sometimes 30 yuans, sometimes 50. She even told him that if he refused to lend money, she would stop sleeping with him. At first, Lai kept giving her money. But later, he realized Chang Li never intended to repay him. Gradually, he stopped lending money and told her to move out. That made Hang Li angry. She demanded money from Lai. Not a few dozen yuan, but 1,000 yuans. She said since she had stayed with him so long, he owed her compensation. But for an old security guard like Lai Xingfa, living on a tiny salary, there was no way he could accept that. So he told Hang Li he had no money. But Hang Li threatened him, saying if he refused, she would report him for rape. Hearing that, Lai suddenly remembered his prison sentence for rape, which destroyed his family and ruined his life. The threat instantly enraged him. He rushed at Hang Li, grabbed her throat, and strangled her to death. Lai quickly realized he had killed her. But having been in prison before, he stayed unusually calm. After thinking for a few minutes, he remembered the sewer opening behind the guardroom. He dragged Hang Li's body into the sewer through the manhole inside the room. After killing Hang Li, Lai showed no fear at all. He continued working as a guard and slept in the same room with Hang Li's body hidden beneath the floor. Yet he felt no fear or guilt. At the time, nobody in the neighborhood noticed anything strange, except the old woman who had seen the young girl earlier. A few months later, a 16-year-old girl named Tang Yan came to the neighborhood looking for a friend. She waited inside the guardroom, but her friend never appeared. Lai soon returned to his old habits. He secretly watched Yan for quite some time. Seeing the young girl was attractive, he pretended to be friendly and caring. He even bought buns for her to eat. Thinking the old guard seemed kind, Tang Yan slowly opened up to him. She complained she could not find work because she was too young and inexperienced. She had come to borrow money from a friend because she had no money left at all. He agreed to lend Yan money. After hearing that, Tang Yan agreed, and the two began living together. After some time, Tang Yan grew tired of the cramped guardroom. She wanted to leave, find a job, and start a better life. But Lai Xingfa had become attached to her and did not want her to leave. He told her that if she wanted to go, she had to repay him. For all the food and living expenses. But the girl had no money at all, and insisted on leaving anyway. The argument escalated, and in a fit of rage, Lai killed Tang Yan as well. Afterward, he hid her body, the same way he had hidden Hang Li's. Lai then bought cement to seal the manhole cover and block the smell from the two corpses below. Yet he continued living there as if nothing had happened. So what happened to 38-year-old Zifang? This case was even more disturbing than the first two. In 2006, about a year after Tang Yan's murder, Lai Xingfa was still living in the same room above the hidden bodies. And the monster continued acting normal, without raising suspicion. Zifang rented a small apartment in the neighborhood, so she often crossed paths with Lai while entering and leaving the area. Over time, the two became familiar with each other. Since her husband lived back in their hometown, and she worked alone in Dayang, she may have felt lonely. Eventually, Zifang began an affair with Lai Xingfa. Late at night, she would go to the guardroom to spend the night with him. Lai became deeply obsessed with her. But one day, Zifang told him they had to end the affair because her husband was coming to live with her soon. But Lai refused to let go. He demanded that she continue the secret relationship. Otherwise, he would tell her husband everything. Zifang became furious. She no longer wanted to continue risking herself with Lai. So she warned him that if he exposed the affair, she would accuse him of rape. But Zifang had no idea that the word rape was Lai Xingfa's greatest trigger. The moment he heard it, Lai instantly snapped. Like a monster, He wrapped both hands around her neck and strangled her until she stopped moving. He dragged Zifang's body into the sewer and continued living in the room above, with the 3 bodies hidden beneath him. Later, the neighborhood decided to stop hiring security guards. That meant Lai could no longer stay there to watch over his terrible secret. Afraid the truth would be discovered, he bought more cement and sealed the manhole completely. He also stole more than 3,000 yuans in utility money from the residents before disappearing. The judge later stated that although Lai confessed and showed remorse during trial, that was nowhere near enough to excuse the murders of 3 innocent people. His actions were ruled intentional homicide, and he was sentenced to death with lifelong loss of political rights. According to Chinese law, Lai Xingfa was executed by firing squad in 2012. Who could have imagined that an old, frail-looking man who had lived more than half a century could commit such brutal murders? According to Lai's own statement, the 3 victims supposedly lived reckless lives. But in the end, that was only his side of the story, and there was no way to verify it. The victims were dead and could no longer speak for themselves. However, witnesses had seen the 2 younger victims living with Lai inside the guardroom, which partly confirmed parts of his confession. The case also serves as a warning for young women living alone to protect themselves and avoid dangerous relationships or risky situations, because no one knows when they might fall into a nightmare like these 3 victims. An old security guard who seemed harmless turned out to be a serial killer. If you want to stay safe, remember not to put yourself in dangerous situations. And with that, everyone, today's case has come to an end. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and stay tuned for more gripping true crime stories from us. New episodes are uploaded every Monday and Friday. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.